more insight, more understanding. This is Fox 23 News in Depth with Rick Marino.
Something very rare happened at the state capitol this morning, and tonight we are going to go in depth on it. For the first time in a long time, if not ever, the Oklahoma State Board of Education held a meeting of its own without its chairman, State Superintendent Ryan Walters. It was a rare legal move, but it's one 4 board members say needed to happen so they could get proper legal guidance in their official duties moving forward. It was a historic day when it came to governing a state agency that has a history of political drama.
This is, as far as we know, the first ever special Board of Education meeting.
With a majority of just 4 members, the Oklahoma State Board of Education used an old state law from the 1970s and went around and over State Superintendent Ryan Walters to hold their own official and special meeting to take care of some business they say Walters was refusing to put up for a vote during their regularly scheduled meetings. A meeting that was canceled last week by Walters himself.
The statutes say the board shall appoint their own attorney.
In a statement last week, the Oklahoma State Department of Education said the meeting was canceled because of concerns about the board not having legal counsel in place to help guide them. However, the thing board members were asking for was the ability to hire legal counsel of their own, which couldn't happen if a board meeting didn't take place with the hiring of an attorney on the agenda. The board, by law, must have its own attorney separate from the superintendent, so they can form a legally sound opinion on their own instead of relying on how the superintendent says the law is and should be.
All the board asks for is an attorney to guide us appropriately to state law and statute and rules of the Department of Education. I think Mr. Leonard is well capable of doing that.
In the end, the board hired attorney Ryan Leonard, who once ran for Attorney General and has been working for Governor Kevin Stitt. Leonard will now accompany the board at its regular monthly meetings after they complained previous board legal counsel was a personal attorney to Walters who belittled them and was combative. Walters did not show up for the meeting and has previously demeaned the 4 board members publicly as distractors after they said they saw fully nude women on Walters' office TV during a closed-door executive session in July. Walters does say he will work with anyone to reform education in Oklahoma.
I can only speak for myself. Look, I am always willing to work with other folks to improve our kids' education. You know, I'm an elected official.
However, board members have told Fox 23 Walters doesn't just defame them publicly because they are appointees of Governor Kevin Stitt. He does not communicate with them at all to conduct the business of the Oklahoma State Department of Education.
Sadly, it's been consistent since I've been on the board. We have zero communication with the Department of Education except to determine if we're going to attend the next board meeting.
The board's previous attorney resigned last month after it was revealed board members reached out to the Attorney General's office about concerns they had with the legal counsel in place. Chad Cutmus worked for Walters when now former Bixby Superintendent Rob Miller sued Walters for defamation. Cutmus was also representing the Department of Education in its Social Studies Standards lawsuit defending Walters. Board members told the Attorney General's office they wanted a new attorney because they said Cutmus was constantly siding with Walters and they felt they were fighting with someone who was supposed to be their legal counsel, not Walters. When last month's board meeting was abruptly canceled and board members were still eager to hire their new attorney, multiple state agencies and officials have actually stepped up to help conduct the special meeting today. They were publicly thanked by board members to help stop the stonewalling of the superintendent. And here is just a partial list of them. The board says they had help from Governor Kevin Stitt's office, Stitt's Secretary of Education, Nellie Taylor Sanders, the Office of Management and Enterprise Services, or OMES, the Secretary of State's office to help them get the agenda posted legally. And despite him sending out a statement about not liking who they chose, the board also thanked Attorney General Ginter Drummond's office for this. Now, as we've reported here before, there were a lot of promises made by Superintendent Walters this very summer as done deals and things that will happen. But when you show up at your child's school, you will see none of it actually happening. Let's go over that list one more time. For the current school year alone, the superintendent said country music singer Lee Greenwood was going to donate Bibles to all of the children of Oklahoma, and he went on a nationwide PR campaign telling people to give their money to Greenwood. No Bibles have shown up at any schools, and school has already started. We also have not gotten a financial update. Walters promised free school lunches for all students. That didn't happen. Walters promised the creation of Oklahoma's first non-woke online private charter school, which parents could use vouchers for, which did not happen and cannot legally happen. Walters promised a change of the end of the year standardized testing. That isn't happening. And he also made national headlines with his PragerU teacher wokeness test as a requirement to get a teaching certificate in Oklahoma. It is online, but actually using it to weed out woke teachers is not really happening at this time. The reason why none of that is actually happening, as the superintendent promised, is because he needs approval from the State Board of Education and even state lawmakers. A board Walters has openly says he doesn't want to work with on these things and has publicly demeaned to the point where there is now talk of a defamation lawsuit for at least one member. And as board members have said, Walters doesn't really talk to them at all. Think of the Department of Education like a city. In this case, the mayor doesn't want to work with his city council. The superintendent can make all the promises he wants, but without proper approval from the board, which he does not have for many of these plans, he will never be able to make his social media videos into real policy. We were also told when she was in town, U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon herself said Walters' plans for changing standardized tests were not approved by her and did not have a proper approval in place, one being through the State Board of Education. On top of that, we will conclude tonight. Here are two high-ranking state Senate Republicans who work on education I've had on this very program, talking about how the superintendent cannot just ignore the Board of Education because he doesn't like them anymore or he misses the old board that did whatever he wanted for the last 2 years.
This is a board that was appointed by Governor Stitt, confirmed by the state Senate, and he doesn't have a choice. He has to work with that board. I mean, that was put in place the proper way.
You do have to work with the Board of Education. You do have to work with the legislature. We don't want to be an obstacle or an impediment, but we do have to be respectful of the fact that it's the legislature that makes the laws, right? And then the State Department, through rulemaking and their administrative authority, get to work to implement the laws that we have on the books. And it's not, I just get to wave a magic wand and say, I want to do this.
As of this hour, the superintendent remains under investigation for what board members say was full frontal nudity on his TV last July. Nudity Speaker of the House Kyle Hilbert says was an old Jackie Chan movie that had multiple scenes of nude women in them that actually played accidentally on the superintendent's office TV. However, with little communication from the superintendent to the board and this issue remaining in the hands of Oklahoma County District Attorney Vicki Bahena, we are just going to have to wait and see if September's regularly scheduled board meeting at the end of the month is going to take place as planned, or if that too will also be canceled. There were some important things on the August agenda that remain on hold. One of which we were told by a board member includes a pay increase for some teachers that was never considered because the meeting was canceled. We will continue to follow it all.